I think sometime about when God created heaven and earth and put man on earth. I think about the time that God came to visit him in the cool of the day. And I think this day, what we've had and what it looked like outside right now may have been just what it looked like when God came to visit Adam and Eve. But what I do know, it was a privilege to be here and to worship him, to close out this day, to get on about our week. And I hope that a few things that I will say tonight will help us and encourage us along the way. We shall serve God only. Serve God. Think about Abraham. The name Abraham appears in both Old and New Testament, more in the Old Testament than the New Testament. Abraham is part of the big three of the Old Testament: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham is a very important part of both Old and New Testament, and in a way, Christianity. In Genesis chapter 12, we find Abraham performing an act of faith that put him into the Faith Hall of Fame. Just think about what we see here. God came to Abraham, told him to leave his country, to leave his family, leave his father's house, and go to a land that he would show him. And then God made a promise to him that he would make him a great nation. He would bless him, make his name great, and he shall be a blessing. I said this last Wednesday in the devotion at work. I said, if I went home today with a U-Haul and drove it in front of our house, and Alda would say, what's this? I said, we're moving. Well, where are we going? I don't know, but we're going to load this truck and we're going. And I said, her answer probably would be, you go, I'm staying. But Abraham accepted what God said, took Lot, and he started traveling. They finally made it to the place where God wanted them to settle. Both Lot and Abraham was cattlemen. And as time went on, both cattle herd multiplied to a point that they could no longer live together. And one of the most saddest things happened. They had to make a decision. What do we do? And Abraham decided we should depart. You go one way, I'll go the opposite direction. And I'm thinking, as Lot and his herdmen, his cattle, his workers, as they were transitioning out of the eyesight of Abraham. And I'm thinking, as he saw the dust of the cattle began to settle, he hears a voice. It's God's voice. God tells him, look to the east, the west, the north, the south. And then God tells him, if any man, if you can number the dust of the earth, then your descendants can be numbered. As time goes on, as we know the story, Abraham's descendants became great in the earth. Abraham had a land that he would be, God said he was going to give him for he and his descendants. He told him that he would give him this land in Genesis chapter 13, 1 through 16. But they did not occupy that land until they went through 430 years of slavery in Egypt. Exodus 12:40. But when they finally reached that land, when they finally got into the land that God had told Abraham they would receive, they were free. They were free, but they were not free to live as they pleased, to worship whom they wanted to worship, and to be what they wanted to be. In Exodus chapter 6, verses 5 and 6, God told them, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I have commanded thee this day shall be in your heart." Jesus added to that in Matthew chapter 4, verse 10, that you shall serve him, and that is God and him only. When I think about the God of the Bible, he is the supreme creator of all that we see. And he is more than a theology to be debated with unbelievers. God alone is the one who guides us and gives us our life every day. God is in full control of everything. It is so refreshing to wake up every morning knowing that God is in control. Sometimes as we gaze at the trees that are hiding the forest and we are being blessed, we are tempted somehow to think that we have earned our blessing because of our goodness and what we are. And then we begin to think that the bad things that happen is because God is not doing his job. That isn't true. It is true in James chapter 1, verse 17, that no good that ever comes to us happens that God doesn't make it happen. Every good gift, every perfect gift comes from above. And then sometime we began to think that when our comfort is being threatened by things in this world and things in our lives, we think that God has lost it. He's out of control. But God is in control, and he has set all limits on any problem that we may face. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, Paul said, "There has no temptation taken you, but that which is common to man." When we go through things in this life, when stuff begins to happen, we should not conclude that it began with me and end with me. Paul is saying that what is happening to you has happened to someone else and will happen after you. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above what you are able. Now, I said God set a limit on what the problems and the troubles that we go through. When we were going through our rough time, our sad time, and times that we feel that we're not going to make it, there's a limit. I may not know, but God knows my limitation. And so it says God will not allow us to be troubled above our limitation. But God will, with the temptation, also make a way to escape. When I'm having all the problems, I'm suffering, I'm struggling, I don't know which way to turn. I know all of this stuff is going on around about me. And the Bible says, yes, it is. It's true. But there is a way out if we would only give time to look for the escape way. But God will, with the temptation, also make a way to escape. God will not allow Satan, God will not allow our troubles and tribulation to block our way to get out of and get away from whatever it is that's been making us uncomfortable. Our trials shall never be above the strength that God shall give us to bear what we're going through. And so the latter part of that verse, that you may be able to bear it. There has no temptation taken you, that such is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above which you are able, that you may be able to bear it. With God in charge, we can go about our day, every day, knowing that He's in control. We know that God loves us because He sent His Son to come into this world to die for our sins. God has permanent and consistent dominion over the power of good and evil, physical and spiritual. Jesus told His disciples about just how God loved and how He cared for us in Luke chapter 12, verse 27. He tells them how God cared for us and how He cared for the things that are not human. Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not, and yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of those. Flowers are beautiful. They're just somehow, they just make the day. I remember being in St. Louis one weekend, and we worshiped at the congregation there, and they sung a song, "Give me my flowers while I can see them. Give me my flowers while I can smell them. Give me my flowers while I can see the beauty that they bring." That's a beautiful song. I loved it. I still love it. And so God is saying, with all the things that Solomon had, that what he had didn't overshadow the flower, the wildflower. This is how elaborate for the things around Solomon. In 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 7, the wealth and all the things that Solomon had spread all around about people knew. The Queen of Sheba came. She heard about his wisdom. She heard about all the things that Solomon had, and she decided to come and give him a test. She came with elaborate gifts. She came just so she would be respected and accepted. And she had put together some hard questions because she didn't believe that Solomon was everything that they said he was. And so when she came and put to him the hard question, he answered them. And everything she had to say, he readily had an answer for. And then she took a tour of his house. And she took a tour of the worshiping place. And she observed his servants, the maid, the wine bearers. And she looked at all the things round about. And when she looked at that, her conclusion was, the half had not been told. Solomon was just that great. We as Christians are influencing somebody, somewhere. We may not be influencing someone in another country, but we may be influencing someone across the street. We may not be influencing someone 1,000 miles away, but we may be influencing someone who's working by us every day. Let me tell you a little story about me. I used to park on the parking lot, I still do. But one time I got into the habit, somehow my car just never got in one lane, it sort of took up 2 lanes. That was kind of deliberate. I kind of did that because I didn't want other car doors opening against my car, the scrapes and things. And I felt that was pretty safe. And one day, a young man came to me who worked there, and he said, "Joe, you just park any kind of way on the parking lot." And I thought about that for a moment. I park in the lane straight now. But I said, if he can notice that, what else is he noticing about me? How is I influencing him? Well, if he can notice my bad habit of parking, I need to be very careful about the rest of my life. Now, if he had not told me that, tomorrow, Lord's will, I'd have parked crossways the line. But now, since he told me that, and I know that I was influencing him like that, and he was noticing that, tomorrow I will park in the line. Because that kind of impression that I was sitting with him is like I didn't care. I wasn't considerate. There was a lot of other things going on. I was being selfish. And sometimes we need to recognize that in the spiritual realm. We need to ask ourselves the question, what kind of influence am I setting and leaving on other people? As Queen of Sheba was impressed with Solomon, people are going to be impressed positively or negatively with us. I say that I am a Christian. What do they see in my life every day to demonstrate that I am a Christian? I'm a true believer in God. They may not know that I am a Christian, but what do I do every day, or what do I say every day to cause them to think there is something different about us than other people we're around? We do this by trusting God and wanting to be the disciple that God wants us to be. The thing that we need to ask ourselves right now, I know I'm influencing somebody with everything I do. What am I doing? And how am I influencing? When I see them, I walk away from them. Do I leave and they think, that's a good guy, good lady? Or do they say, well, that's a person who doesn't care? When I walk away from them, will they think in their mind, I'd kind of like to be like them? I wonder what makes them act, talk the way they do. We need to make that impression. Marshall Keeble said one time in closing, he said, we are a living Bible. People read us, and we may be the only Bible that they read is our life, and we don't want to give them the wrong impression. No, we do not. I'm very proud of this congregation and what we do. I've never been a part of a congregation that took, in reality, the Great Commission of going into all the world. Literally, we go to all the world. If I don't go physically, we help. We support. And that's what God wants us to do. One time someone said to me, I know you say that we ought to go into all the world, but I can't go. Well, we can help send. We can influence. We can encourage. And this is what we want to do. We are to tell people, we are to show people, we are to demonstrate in our lives, there is no God but the living God in heaven, and Him only should we serve. And I trust that we will take that very seriously. I hope when we leave here tonight that we will begin to think every day, I'm influencing somebody, and let it be for God. If we can help you in any way, to strengthen you or to help you through some struggle, We're going to sing the invitation song, Come